At the time of this recording, today marks December 2nd, which means it's my birthday. I'm very happy that you decided to tune in today and celebrate with me. Today's dish is a very special dish because it's something that every Filipino knows about, adobo. If you're watching and you want to go straight to the adobo recipe, I'll be leaving a timestamp below and then you can just click through and get started on learning how to cook it. But in this first part of the video, what I would like for everyone watching to do for my birthday is to stick around and learn a little bit more about Philippine X culture and heritage. As a people, our culture and heritage has traveled very far through many generations. In honor of that, let's pay homage to the food we're about to receive today. If you've been watching my previous videos, you know that I've been producing this channel so that I could document and learn about all different types of food cultures, mine included. There's some things that I've known and learned for a long time that I need to get off my chest. I know that we've already reached December and it marks the end of the hashtag NoNuanceNovember, but if I could add one last minute entry, it would be to stop this. Contrary to popular belief, we need to stop claiming adobo as the national dish of the Philippines. Now before you say, what the is wrong with this guy? Let me explain myself. I'm gonna delve right into it. It's crucial to understand the history of the indigenous Philippine X and how our ancestors' foods, cultures, and traditions were disposed of. They were shattered and abandoned as a direct result of colonization, oppression, and marginalization. What I mean by that was the word adobo was coined by a Catholic priest by the name of Pedro de San Buenaventura. He's responsible for naming adobo during the documentation of the dish. Adobo is not the actual name of the dish. Adobo is used to describe the natives' method of preparing and marinating their meat. The original documentation of the dish was eradicated as a direct result of Lexical Imperialism. Allow me to explain this term. Spanish colonization happened in the 15th century when the Philippine archipelago was invaded and conquered for over 300 years. San Buenaventura was trying to communicate with the indigenous people so that he can convert everyone to Catholicism. In order to accomplish this, he looked for native words that were very similar to Spanish words, and therefore eradicating the native language, hence the term Lexical Imperialism. As if that part of history wasn't controversial enough, here's why I find this fact to be even more controversial. San Buenaventura deemed adobo to be the term because he associated it with the Tagalog word kilao, which is the preparation of eating raw meat with vinegar. Because of these correlations, he determined that such nature was primitive and that the native people shouldn't act as uncivilized. So that alone can tell you how things were going for the natives in the 1500s. I can't agree with San Buenaventura's degrading impressions because the natives were far more advanced than the Spaniards ever thought. Even before Ferdinand Magellan set foot on the land, they had their own language, they had their own established government, they had their own form of faith filled with gods and goddesses. Women dominated in leadership. Homosexuality and transgendered identities were never an issue. All of that was wiped out because of Spanish influence. By labeling adobo as the national dish of the Philippines, it embraces the act of terrorism left to the native people. So do I believe that adobo should be the national dish of the Philippines? No. The reason why is because I can't stand by a dish that blatantly accepts the successes of colonization, that erases entire languages of people that were well advanced ahead of their time. And I most certainly can't stand by a dish that has historically crossed several other countries that experienced the exact same trauma and eradication of their ethnic identity. Now I know that I'll be met with resistance by people that will say things like, oh well, everyone from the Philippines knows adobo, why shouldn't it be the national dish? Or, well, the Spanish conquered us and we gained independence from them eventually. We got adobo out of it, so it's part of our history. For those of you who think that way, I just have to say, first, just because everyone knows adobo doesn't mean that it's perfectly sound for everyone to identify us with it. We're not the only country in this world that's known for adobo. And second, we didn't gain adobo from the Spanish. The original way of cooking the dish has always been the same since before colonization happened. The Spanish simply labeled it with their own language. And I know that there are many other rebuttals that are out there, but just remember, I'm here to be informative. In this journey, I'm here to learn about food cultures, and that means sometimes there will be questions that raise an eyebrow or two. But it's important that we stay educated so that we can continue to have these conversations. I don't have the answers, but I would love to hear your opinion in the comments below. Let's go make it now. Here's what you'll need for your mise-en-place. Liampo, minced garlic, bay leaves, soy sauce, whole peppercorn, apple cider vinegar, Knorr's liquid seasoning. Let's start on our wok and get it piping hot with some oil. Don't use too much oil because the liampo is going to render a ton of fat. Just use enough to get started with frying the garlic. Add the liampo and stir it around so that it gets some color. Once it becomes light brown for the most part, let's go in with some salt, pepper, bay leaf, and our peppercorn in the mix. Mix it around well and then go in with the soy sauce. This part is optional, but I'm adding some oyster sauce for a little sweetening. Once all the pork is coated in the sauces, we're going to add just enough water to cover up the pork. Use the water to scrape off those caramelized bits on the edges of the pan. Then you'll bring this to a boil. Once it starts boiling rapidly, turn the heat to low and cover it with the lid. Go scroll on TikTok or watch my other videos for the next 45 minutes. You're gonna let this slow cook on low heat. When you come back to open the lid, you'll be met with this magnificently tender piece of meat. Alright, enough mesmerizing. Remove everything from the pan and keep the pork separated. What we're going to do now is refry and further caramelize the pieces of meat with our liquid seasoning. I don't know what's inside this stuff, but it makes everything about this dish taste magical. It kind of reminds me of the Old Bay seasoning because it has a quote on the side of the packaging that says a whole bunch of "don't worry about it." Alright, now we've caramelized the meat and now it's time to scrape off those bits from the pan with the pork fat that we set aside. Once that's done, we're going to finish off with our apple cider vinegar. This is the secret, everyone. When you add the vinegar, don't touch it, don't stir it, don't even look at it. Just add the vinegar and let everything boil together for like 10 minutes. After about 10 minutes, you're now allowed to stir it again and your adobo is done. Thanks for watching, everyone. Please like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, stay hungry, fam.